West Allis, Wisconsin is facing a racing resurgence. In the past 2 years, we've seen the ARCA Menards Regional Series, the NASCAR Truck Series, and potentially the NASCAR Xfinity Series return to its storied venue. Even on the sim racing side, the eNASCAR Road to Pro Tour has made their way to the Midwest. Tonight, the Integrity Racing League proves to be no different. For the first time in the Integrity Ignite Series history, this track is on the schedule for Race 7 of the 2025 campaign. Welcome to the Milwaukee Mile. It's an iconic circuit. It's only 1 mile in length, but it always proves to be ever exciting. Tonight, drivers will take on the circuit for 150 laps of racing, with qualifying about halfway through now, 2 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock. Welcome back to coverage live on FTN Broadcasting. I'm your host, David Kreutz, commentating and producing. It looks like tonight we have just about 45 drivers competing, which is the lowest total of the season, but still a very high car count for one of our smaller tracks. A reminder, this circuit comes in at under a mile, or rather, under a mile and a half. And that means that the full field will not be with us by virtue of those limitations. Thomas Bressi is tentatively qualified in second. Sean Carmody 17th on the board currently speaking, and he's one of the many drivers getting his reps in, taking practice laps now after qualifying in the upper mid-pack. So far, 39 drivers have taken the time, and that will give us exactly 43 drivers to register today, just under the 45 estimated. DJ Stagner now going to be on the move, the former champion, one of the final 4 to get on the way here. Still waiting to see his time, and now that he gets on the move here, he's in his first lap, looking strong so far on the bottom of the circuit. Last time we saw anything of Milwaukee in the Integrity Racing League was a glimpse at the Pocono Raceway. Turn 3 at that circuit in Long Pond, Pennsylvania is modeled after the turns here at the mile, but we've never seen the full circuit come to fruition with our Monday or Tuesday night series. Stagner with a major hit. He'll be qualified 42nd at best, with Ryan Vaughn shaky on his outlap. It's most likely DJ will stay just ahead. Right now, Sean Carmody is down to 23rd. Vinny Tigner up to 16th. Tom Wetmore runs strong. Tom will take it up to P5 in the number 69. For Roadhouse Racing, 5th and 6th. Back-to-back places for Wetmore and Blake Cannon, the new dynamic duo who have come strong so far this year. So far, as a duo, they've pulled away with 3 wins in both series. Wetmore, 1 win on the Tuesday nights. Cannon, back-to-back victories on the Monday nights. One of the strongest teams early, but Tom Wetmore is looking for a bit of a rebound, as is Blake Cannon, with Hunter Matalenis and, of course, recently Jared Davis both winning. Roadhouse knocked off the top seed, and Thomas Bressi now of JTM holds the championship lead. But tonight it will be Domination Intimidation Racing's Rob Ackley continuing the good times. He finished 4th last week. He'll qualify first today and grab the pole position with a 30.196. The fastest time on the board by more than a tenth of a second. With Ackley taking the pole position, he does so in dominant fashion. We're looking to see whether or not he can pull through for his first win of the season and break a winless drought that, of course, has gone since the end of 2023. With a few minutes remaining now, drivers will get that extra practice, and it looks like tonight it's a full field of 43 taking on this 1 mile track. With that said, still a high amount of drivers, high quantity, and great talent, and that shows again at the front of the field. Let's take a look throughout your starting grid now from top to bottom. Inside of row number 1, it's going to be tonight the number 22 of Rob Ackley. Ackley grabs the pole position with a 30.195. Then beside him will be Nick Tarbuck in second place. Both drivers running DIR Top 3 consisting of Domination Intimidation Racing twice, JTM Motorsport with Thomas Bresci, and then DIR caps off the top 4. They have 3 of the top 4 with defending champ Braxton DeWeese getting up to 4th place. Tom Wetmore will then go 5th in qualifying with Blake Cannon P6. 7th place on the order immediately after in Sam Nieto, Michael Araya 8th, Michael Stroll in 9th, Jake Miller, a rookie coming in midway through the early circuit. He once again impresses, qualifies in 10th. It'll be Matthew Thunhorst then in 11th and Jack Drucker P12. Hunter Matalenis, the winner at the Roval, 13th place for qualifying. Justin Morton goes 14th. Blake Gordon will round out the top 15. And Vinny Tigner for Saturday Night Thunder, of course, he finds himself 16th place. Chad Mikas goes 17th and Nicholas Ward goes 18th on the order with your final drivers in the top 20, Gavin Fitzgerald and Brett McClendon. Matt Press is going to be 21st. Ronnie Osmer is 22nd. Sean Carmody, Gael Brooks, and Adam Wood finish up the top 25 with Hensley, Stevenson, Gallagher, Foss, and Brian McFerrin wrapping up the top 30. For your top 35, you'll then see immediately after Will Reichert, Elliot Henderson, Brandon Bernhardt, Ryan Potter, and Calvin Filarski, and then to wrap up the top 40, Dackle Parka. Immediately after him, Steve Durham, Casey Shue, Jared Davis, and Kyle Cooper. 41st and 42nd place are teammates for the Swamp Motorsport Brigade. That's Sebastian Miller, 41st, DJ Stagner in 42nd, and your 43rd and last driver at the tail end of the grid tonight, Ryan Vaughn in the number 28, the last driver qualified on the day. As such, we got a full field of 43 for the 1 mile circuit. That is your starting grid from the Milwaukee Mile. At the top of the board, 2 teammates, Ackley and Nick Tarbuck. Taking a brief look downstairs, and one of the teammates is on the circuit right now, one of the many for Domination Intimidation Racing. Of course, including Michael Stroll, Chad Mikas, Nick Tarbuck, Braxton DeWeese, and Rob Ackley. It is a stout team that always comes to the top of the board when push comes to shove, and right now they absolutely need it as an entity. Although Michael Stroll has been remarkably consistent so far to kick off the opening of the Ignite Series campaign, he has not yet gotten himself to victory lane, and that's been the biggest of pitfalls. Chad Mikas, although he's had the speed of last year, has not nearly had the execution and fell out of the top 30 in points last week. The rest of the team hasn't done as well as they'd like to, of course, keep it up at, and they haven't done as well as they did last year, which leaves that underperformance as a big reason to drive for this race to be a success. Nick Tarbuck, perhaps another exception. He's been able to make his way to the podium places multiple times so far. 30 seconds left on the clock. Josh Gallagher up high. Gael Brooks right there with them. One down at pit road. That appears to be Vinny Tigner in the number 12. DJ Stagner parked up there with defending winner Jared Davis. We still haven't spoken to Davis. He's made it to the podium multiple times in both series and has neglected or declined to comment. Still quite the mystery, but we know one thing for sure: he is as quick as they come and has remained one of the fastest drivers in the opening races of this circuit. Jared's going to find himself tonight qualified at the back of the field, though. 39th place after winning last week, so not necessarily duplicating that qualifying success either. But the fastest man on this rundown is Sam Nieto, only to be usurped by Blake Cannon in the final seconds of warm-up. Quick time at 30.513 to end practice. Blake Cannon, quick for the Roadhouse Brigade. And let's talk about those championship standings now. Thomas Bresci able to break away now with a 41-point lead by virtue of premature retirement from Blake Cannon last week. He needs a big rebound tonight. Qualifying up inside the top 10 is a nice touch, but his championship rival in Bresci has out-qualified him once again. Jared Davis has gotten up to third in points, but tonight won't be easy coming from outside of the top 35. Ronnie Osmer, one of the rookies, hangs on, of course, 7th in points. Matt Press doing a good job, P8. Stagner's going to be 42nd to start tonight, but is 9th in points. Tom Wetmore has already missed a race, and the number 69 is still top 10 in points as well. But it is Bressie right now who is head and shoulders ahead of the field by virtue of a strong run last week. Not able to get the job done for the victory. He finished 2nd once again. He's got a firm championship advantage. Currently, of course, side by side on that 2nd row. He'll start 3rd place today, but there's a lot more to be expected of Thomas Bressie as he still awaits a chance for victory lane. He's raced 6 times this season, all 6 races, a top 10 finish, and a 66% rate of top 5s with 4 so far. 22 stage points to his name. Overall, been close. Very close and remarkably consistent at that. When it comes to top 10s, he's the only driver with a 100% top 10 rate this far into the season. And that means, of course, he's got himself the advantage of consistency. But execution for victory is another thing, and I'm sure that Bressie, after 2 consecutive seasons winning and always being a contender, he wants it back again. He does not want to be the bridesmaid this season. For the 3rd year in a row, Thomas Bressie is again at the top of the points pylon, but tonight the focus is on Domination Intimidation Racing, looking to get back into the championship picture. 3 of their drivers start in the top 4, and Rob Ackley in the Home Depot Chevrolet is the man that leads it off. 150 laps of racing away from the Milwaukee Mile. The green flag is out. Ackley and teammate Nick Tarbuck lead the field through the opening corners. Caution is out. Back of the field, we've got trouble already. We're going to try to see what happened here as drivers are already collecting themselves. But it looks like the tail end sees an issue. So now we are pacing. Looking all the way to the tail end of the field, you see Jared Davis looks to be just fine. Gael Brooks all the way back in 43rd. A little bit of scuffing on the back end. And it looks like now some contact bringing way to your first caution. We'll see if we can get a replay on that one. Running in 43rd and last at the time of incident. Going to make it tricky, but it seems like damage to number 71 is the cause of caution. Gael Brooks involved. And you can see that front end there definitely messed up. Brooks making his way back up. Steve Durham at the top of the track right now with some internet troubles. And it looks like that's the only thing that's wrong now with the 21. He doesn't have any other damage to speak of. Gael Brooks will head down and into pit road. And now the 71, in what looks to be a single car incident, makes his way through. Sebastian Miller also comes in. Miller getting some extra service. He comes in from 40th place. Not a lot to lose in that position. Brent McClendon, however, going in from 20th on the grid down to 42nd. A risky call very early as we have ourselves a lap 3 caution. At the start of lap 2, the yellow was called, and so we are pacing for the first time tonight. Rob Ackley gets the edge over his teammate Nick Tarbuck there. It looks like really no debate off the line for both of those drivers. The teammates are going to find themselves comfortable once more, and so we're slowly but surely getting to grips with racing here in Milwaukee. First caution brings us our first restart in West Allis, and the same front row has it up and ahead. Same top 10 for the most part, with 2 exceptions. A pass made for 7th place, Michael Araya getting it over Sam Nieto. A pass for 9th place, Jack Miller over Michael Stroll. However, in total, the exact same drivers in the top 10, just in a slightly different order off the back half, and the top 6 drivers remain in the same order as they started. Green flag for Rob Ackley for the second time today, but for the first time in this instance anyway, it is a restart. Pace car goes low. Ackley's got it made on the front row, and he'll have with him his teammate again for Domination Intimidation Racing. Green flag is out. Advantage 22. We're back in business, and it's the Home Depot Chevrolet to the point again. Bresci on the inside, already jockeying for position, and he'll bring with him Tom Wetmore. Watch as the team game is played all night long here. Wetmore, of course, seeing his teammate Blake Cannon. Rob Ackley seeing his teammate Nick Tarbuck. Right now, however, Thomas Bresci's closest teammate, you got to go back to 12th place in Matthew Thunhorst. Now, Thunhorst again, he's making moves. He's going to the inside for a 3-wide pass now, but he doesn't have that immediate track position that teammate Bresci has, and that is a significant disadvantage. Michael Stroll is the first of your top 10 guys to fall out of the top 10. Heading to the inside, Thunhorst is still diving deep. He's working that bottom groove about better than anyone else. Caution's out again. Looks like the middle and the back of the field. Checking out now what just happened. Gael Brooks had the damage there, but you can see the number 28 of Ryan Vaughn falling further. Brendan Bernhardt, however, looks like he's got some trouble in the number 81. Taking a look at timing and scoring right now, figuring out what just caused it. Bernhardt is now catching up. Take a look last time by, and you'll see what happened here. Contact with Dackle Parka. Once, twice, spun. 81 goes around. Yellow flag is out. So, Bernhardt, with some minor damage as a result of that contact with the number 10, brings out the second caution of the day. Very early yellow flags overall, and it looks like a tricky circuit giving way to some early mishaps. Hopefully it doesn't turn out to be a permanent issue. Anyhow, Rob Ackley has the lead. Second place is Bresci. Third is Tarbuck. Talk about some big movers so far. Ronnie Osmer, who is 7th now in the championship standings, is continuing the good times for this number 55. Getting it off with a great start at Daytona and finishing on the podium, and he's kept himself in good placements ever since then. Jacob Fife, a notable absence unfortunately, but great to have him in the chat room. Hoping everyone has a good time out on the field. Thank you, Jacob, for stopping by. And of course, Alan Dark Images, rooting for the number 1 in Braxton DeWeese. If you've got a favorite driver, let us know in the chat room tonight. We've got more than 40 strong still racing. Some notable absences, however, and one I would like to note, because he's not here today, he will most likely be here tomorrow. Ethan Lane, who in round 2 of the eNASCAR Road to Pro qualifying series won at this circuit over the remainder of the field, including Brian Mercurio. And if you keep up with eNASCAR talent, that's a top name. Lane stayed out on old tires and for the final 40 laps defended on old rubber. Rest assured, Ethan Lane is Coke Series quality. It's a shame he was not drafted by a team over the last winter. However, we're glad to have him back. He would have done wonders here in Milwaukee. Gael Brooks, one of those who's getting his lap back right now. You can see him right there. Brendan Bernhardt in the number 81, also there with them. And it's going to be some crinkled up front ends as Calvin Filarski heads to pit road. He is 1 lap down as it stands. The number 39, the only driver off the lead lap. And now he's getting back on the move to at least contend with drivers at race pace. Ackley and Thomas Bresci slowly but surely see the sun peek out from the clouds. It's a mostly cloudy day, but we've still got some good cover. Track temp coming in at 85 degrees and expected to get warmer as long as we get things set under green. We're back at it again with Rob Ackley leading to the inside. Thomas Bresci goes, blocking once more on Nick Tarbuck. Tom Wetmore to the outside on Braxton Deweese. Looks like now the Roadhouse Racing guys separated by Rowe, and Michael Araya, your defending Octane Series champion, finds himself now to the outside of a former rival in Cannon. You'll see Jake Miller, Jack Drucker coming in, Hunter Madalenas coming through from 13th up to 10th. Hunter already a win on the season at the Roval, now beginning to prove that he's got the stuff even with the ovals. He was the outright winner. Justin Morton goes around back of the field. We've got trouble. It's your third caution of the day. Brian McFerrin also involved. Justin Morton from 15th at the line last time by brings out your third caution of the day. Here's what happened. Morton was top 3. Contact from Micus shifted him up the circuit. It looked like he would be able to save it. Morton now sees close contact. Nicholas Ward up the track. The number 14 of Gavin Fitzgerald. That sends Morton spinning. And in reaction, many drivers bolt down. McFerrin, hit by Brett McClendon, makes more contact with Daniel Foss. Contact and a chain reaction. Yellow flag is out. Foss hit on the side. Brian McFerrin, of course, hitting the front end as well. And he's got some of the back end. So overall, Brian McFerrin really bent up from that one. Worst of all, Justin Morton. JTM guy watching his teammate go for the race lead. Now falls back outside the top 30. You look ahead. Rob Ackley, Thomas Bresci, Nick Tarbuck, 1, 2, 3 as it stands. Braxton Deweese is in 4th, and Tom Wetmore runs P5. Early struggles so far for the entire field to keep things clean and under green. Hopefully we pick things up from here. 3 consecutive cautions in the opening 13 laps, and that's an average of maybe 3 green flag laps per stint. Get ourselves picked up again and ready to go back at it. Rob Ackley has remained your leader and will continue to be that man as we head toward our 3rd restart of the day. Short stints, back and forth. And now, we're about set to go back at it again. 1 lap to green this time by Calvin Filarski, getting himself back on the lead lap. All 43 starters are now scored as lead lappers. There's Brent McClendon in the number 11. He was involved briefly in that last incident. Brendan Bernhardt in the previous caution as well. And it looks like the number 9 right now for Justin Morton doesn't have as many issues as we thought. You'll see right now a mostly untouched number 9 Supra returns to the racetrack. Should be good enough now to at least try and keep up with the back of the field. However, very unfortunate for Justin, who was running 14th prior to the incident. Ackley low, Bresci up top. We'll return to green with our 3rd restart of the day, lap number 15. Rob Ackley is going to get things moving first and foremost as he has all 3 restarts. Thomas Bresci on the outside again, but still no match for the number 22. Ackley gets the jump. Tarbuck gets that move put on him, a block from the 24. They're side by side again into the opening corners. At a familiar sight, so this time around, we're going to take a look back to the middle and the tail end of the field to make sure everything is just fine. And it looks like, at least now anyway, everyone gets away strong. Side by side and hoping to see a little bit more of an emphasis on patience for the entire field, whether they're in the front of the field or if they are in the back. Looks like right now it's going to be mostly double file. Brian McFerrin right there, Casey Shue, Daniel Foss, more of the same. McClendon to the inside now, and Ryan Vaughn. But at the front of the pack, it is all Rob Ackley to the point. Right behind him now by 2 car lengths is the number 24 of Thomas Bresci. Nick Tarbuck is there in 3rd, Braxton Deweese 4th, Blake Cannon P5. That's the way they roll now. 16 laps in, and we're getting our tentatively longest green flag stint of the day. A very short stint so far, yes, but now that we're getting into that rhythm, we might have the keys to go the rest of the distance. 150 laps on the day, 150 miles. Let's talk about strategy here. 4 tire sets allotted to drivers, so we do have one extra than what we would expect. We're most likely going to see drivers split their strategy in one of 2 ways. Based on what we saw at Phoenix, it's very likely that 50-lap stints are the way to go. A majority of drivers have decided not to go down a pit road yet, and as a result, lap 50 looks to be the magic number for that first of third stints. Call them third stints because you split the race into thirds, and that's the way you go about strategy. 50 laps being 1/3, then up to 100 being the second, and you finish the day off at the end with lap 150. That's how drivers in a more conservative light would go through the day here in Milwaukee. However, of course, the magic number of magic numbers is splitting the race in half. 1 pit stop at the very minimum is necessary today in Milwaukee. It is not possible to go 150 miles on this fuel tank here, so drivers have to consider at least going in once. But I think tires will dictate whether or not drivers go in multiple times. Already that time by, relative to his fastest time in qualifying, Rob Ackley is more than a full second slower than the fastest time he's put down. Elliott Henderson in the mid-pack is watching a battle between Jared Davis now and Gavin Fitzgerald. Davis, of course, he found himself starting in 39th, and so for Jared to make his way up to 22nd with all these yellow flags hasn't been easy. Usually a caution would help a driver in the back of the field, of course, in bundling them up. When you think about it, Jared Davis hasn't had many an opportunity to make moves by virtue of so many cautions, slowing him down repeatedly. And the more you slow it down, the more you keep it that way, the more troublesome it becomes. Number 19 to Davis heads down to the inside on Gavin Fitzgerald here as the leaders make their way through. You'll see now that Davis has himself to the inside, and he has all eyes on at least making it into the top 20 for the next coming laps. Ronnie Osmer toe-to-toe now with the number 2 of Sam Nieto. Also in the mix here is Nicholas Ward. Ward was briefly involved in contact in our second caution. However, he's coming fresh off the heels of one of his best ever runs, and that, of course, being a podium finish in the Ignite Series last week. Ward has had a long time coming ever since that performance, and at long last, he finally put it up there in the top 3. His end goal is to return to victory lane by the end of year and break a drought of more than now 6 years since his last checkered flag in the Integrity Racing League. Won't be easy, but he finds himself a fighter, and he showed last week he has the stuff to keep things moving. Rob Ackley still to the point now, and he has Thomas Bressie just behind him. Third place in Nick Tarbuck, P4, then in Braxton Deweese. Tom Wetmore going to be in 5th place as it stands, and he's going to be leading his teammate in Blake Cannon across the circuit. You got to watch out now for Roadhouse Racing. First and foremost, as Tom Wetmore often does, the Roadhouse Racing guys put a lot of work into making this series what it is today. John Steele, who's one of their drivers, does a lot of the social media work in collaboration with us at FTN, and we sincerely appreciate it. Eric McFarland as well, one of the admins, of course, as well as Tom Wetmore. Blake Cannon, however, he is the big prospect and one of the biggest catches in free agent season here for the Integrity Racing League. The number 27 coming in as an independent who proved last season he could win in any car at any track. And so for Tom Wetmore to pick him up and scout him out as one of the new adds for that Roadhouse crew, it was a slam dunk. And so far, he's already proved he has what it takes. Second in the championship standings with 2 victories on the catalog so far, Blake Cannon is most likely eyeing a 5+ win season in his most ideal scenario. And already he's nearly half the distance to that point. He's just got to watch out and follow team leader Wetmore here as he rides around the corners of the Milwaukee Mile. 44, running just behind, that's Michael Lariah, of course. Lariah exactly where he started in 8th place, but he's alongside some guys who have moved in from outside the top 10. Biggest mover inside the top 10 so far, Hunter Matalenis, and that is a man who's gone from 13th to 7th. So far, he's a total of 6 spots up on the day. Hunter, the only guy who's made that many spots up in the top 10. The next closest would be 2 spots up for Jack Drucker, your Daytona winner, back in the top 10 from 12th to 10th. And then you got a man who's also gone 2 positions higher. That's Matthew Thunhorst, back inside the top 10 once again. That's, of course, going to be another good run for the JTM guys. While Thomas Bressi runs second once more, Matthew Thunhorst has one job: to continue climbing the ranks as the night goes on. Slowly but surely, he's doing so. And as he makes his way up the ladder, he'll have Michael Lariah to continue chasing. Hunter Matalenis right now, 13th up to 7th, the biggest mover in the top 10. I think he's wanted to look for more and could go for his second win in the last 3 races if he does so. Qualifying was underwhelming relative to where he would like to be. The gap between he and pole sitter Rob Ackley was, give or take, 0.3 of a second. And with the competition level in the Integrity Racing League, that is enough to knock you out of the top 10 on any given race day. Nick Tarbuck to the inside now, trying to chase after his teammate Ackley. Bressi still holding forward on the outside groove here, but with Nick Tarbuck lying low, it could be a freight train that moves the number 24 out of proportion. Now Nick Tarbuck finds himself diving through the corners, but the advantage for Thomas Bressi lies in that outside momentum. He's able to get himself back up to second place once more, and just because a driver's not in that preferred inside groove doesn't mean they can't make passes work out. We've seen similarly thin, unbanked corners before. Perhaps you could say, again, Pocono Raceway, where they modeled turn 3 after this very circuit, or the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Taking that expertise from the flat tracks and bringing it to Milwaukee really helps out. And everyone knows this simple thing: you won't always be in the perfect groove, but you'll always be on the same track as the drivers who does have that advantage. And even though you don't have the advantage at all times, someone like Thomas Bressi knows how to keep on fighting, but you'll see him squeal the tires ever so slightly. That's not going to help out. And so Sean Carmody does the same thing. Sean is now going to fall a little bit further back, 17th place at the line last time by, now fighting against Ronnie Osmer. It looks like while he got loose, he was able to save it, and he's keeping Jared Davis just within the top 20. Davis is now 19th in the number 19, up 20 places on the day. 32nd, of course, lap out of 150. And so, getting into that rhythm, we've finally gotten a chance. Thomas Bressi's fighting, but it looks like now Blake Cannon will get around Tom Wetmore, and there will be a change in the team order. Wetmore goes up high, goes around in that middle groove. Blake Cannon, he's going to take it low, and the 2 drivers, teammates, will swap around. This will give a little bit more pressure now to the number 1 of Braxton Deweese. Cannon having the pace. It looks like Wetmore understanding that. They'll switch around. Tom will ride back. Cannon will move 4th. DIR is still 1st, 3rd, and 4th on the order here. Then you look a little bit further back. Michael Stroll runs in 11th. Chad Mikas 15th place here, and Chad Mikas just needing a few solid days to put himself back in the mix, falling to a low of outside the top 30 in points last week. Mikas is a driver who shocked us last season and proved to be one of the best in the business. Right now, however, Chad has a lot of work to do to put himself in that position once again. When looking at the numbers, as it stands, Mikas is 47th in the championship standings, and that is a horrible statistic for a driver who was top 5 all throughout the season last year and nearly made it to the second round of the playoffs. Had he not missed a race, he most likely would have done so. And it's not to say that Chad Mikas has inherently regressed, but he's had so many races where the execution factor has completely flown out the window. So many nights when he had strong pace and just could not finish the job, and that has been the difference maker. Not able to capitalize on those moments when he has speed, and he's been involved in many an incident, and those have made significant problems. Watching back, Matt Press in the number 60, Ronnie Osmer getting a little bit closer now. Osmer getting himself to the inside, looking for some side-by-side action. Rest of the field so far, it looks like Rob Ackley, number 22, he's got himself still the leader. Everyone else battling. Nick Tarbuck now seeing Blake Cannon make moves. Undeniably, you're seeing here, Blake Cannon has what it takes. Tom Wetmore understanding it, communicating well to make a swap for position. And Wetmore didn't lose anything, other than, of course, giving Cannon a spot, but he's given Blake the opportunity to go out there and fight for positions. The 27 ducks low. Rob Ackley watching and waiting, but Blake Cannon now fighting for second. Take a ride on board now with the number 27. Blake Cannon now running still deep to the inside of Thomas Bressie, although it looks like it's gotten deeper and deeper in the last coming laps. Here comes now the number 27 of Cannon to the inside, rocketing way low, and this time it's door to door with Nick Tarbuck watching through. Side by side for the past full lap here. Thomas Bressie's been working the outside almost better than anyone else. We haven't quite seen any other driver defend up there for as long a time, but it looks like Bressie, even he, will have to succumb to the advantage of the number 27. Blake Cannon is rapid fast now, and everyone else besides Rob Ackley has already been passed by him. Now, we'll see what happens when the man who has led the last 40 consecutive laps has to face off against a very high-rising Toyota Supra. Battle for the race lead within 15/100ths of a second, and it looks like still Blake Cannon is closing. Last time by, Rob Ackley ran a 32.009, 31.853 for Blake Cannon. Notably, those times are significantly slower than the qualifying speeds we saw, which means now that we're seeing give or take 2 seconds of tire wear over the course of 50 laps. Now, you stretch down and average it for another 25 laps. If that average maintained itself, you would see 3 seconds of degradation from beginning to end on a 75-lap run. That is practically unacceptable. I don't think the field is going to go for that, and that's why you'll see drivers head down to pit road very soon. Mohamed Ibrahim coming in, of course supporting the 07. Hunter right now running in 6th place, the biggest mover inside the top 10. Your Roval winner is making waves. Watch out now for this upper mid-pack. They might not be leading, might not be fighting for the race lead, but they're in the draft and they're letting it all happen up in front. This calm and collected demeanor means an awful lot, especially when the leaders here are of such a skill level. If you can stay within a second and a half of what's going on between Ackley, Cannon, Bressie, and the like, if they make any minor mistake on pit road, from a strategic aspect or otherwise, say for instance, they go into pit road, overshoot themselves, then you'll have an extra position gain. Or if you want to go for a gutsy call later on and you want a chance to make it happen, you have to wait and try to stretch the distance until the very end. So staying within this gap, contact! Rob Ackley shot up high, Blake Cannon disposing of the number 22. And Cannon's run is now on. Ackley's run of 43 lead laps comes to an abrupt shutdown. Rob Ackley pushed out of the way. That is for the race lead. One more time, watch this. Instant replay with Rob Ackley and Blake Cannon. They were side by side just a lap ago. Door to door. Cannon to the bottom. And it looks like they were both looking for too little room at the same time and met each other in the middle. New race leader is Blake Cannon. Cannon's got himself to the point now. Then from there, you'll have Thomas Bressi, Nick Tarbuck, and Braxton DeWeese taking a ride aboard now from Cannon, but this time on the backside, and you'll see exactly what's going on. The pressure is all behind Blake Cannon, literally and figuratively. As you can see, he's got himself now a good gap, and this is an advantage any driver would want after fighting side by side, although I'm sure Rob Ackley isn't the happiest now as he's fading back a little bit further. Cannon has made it through, and now Ackley is facing the pressure from the rest of the field. You'll see here, there's the number 44 of Michael Laraya. Laraya going to the inside of Ackley and making it past. So Rob Ackley now going to find himself down to 9th place as a result of this shuffle. It hasn't helped him in the slightest here, and he's gone from P1 to P9 to the better half of 10 laps. Opening 50 have seen dominance from Ackley, but it looks like now Blake Cannon has found his way in position number 1. The sun has come all but fully out now on a mostly cloudy day. Let's talk about conditions here before we head down to pit road. Overall, sunny skies, warmer track, 16 degrees warmer as a matter of fact compared to where it was to start the day. 86 degrees when we got things going for the green flag, 101 Fahrenheit as it stands as we go through lap number 50. Rest of the field following through with strong winds. Northbound now at 12 miles an hour, and that keeps things gusty, of course, all throughout the circuit, and pushing up and down these drivers, it hasn't made much of a difference. Thomas Bressi gets himself back up to second by virtue of Ackley falling off. Whether it's damage or tire wear, either way, it looks like some troubles for that number 22. That gives Thomas Bressi another shot. Advantage, of course, in the second place fight is again Thomas Bressi's. Domination Intimidation Racing, although they're no longer leading, still going to be running 3rd and 4th respectively. You'll have now Roadhouse Racing back up to the point. They're running 1st and 6th. Matthew Thunhorst and Thomas Bressi 2nd and 7th for JTM Motorsport. Domination Intimidation Racing also seeing Ackley and Michael Stroll on the cusp of the top 10 battle. Michael is now on the outside looking in. It looks like for Rob Ackley, it's the opposite. He is on the inside, and he might have to look on the outside very soon if he gets caught up to by Jack Drucker. Ackley's got himself at least now settled in. Took a little while, but for the time being, it looks like he's got himself comfortable once again. You'll look a little bit further back and see Jared Davis to the inside on Matt Press. This is for P15. Jared has gone from 39th up to 16th place, and of all the drivers who qualified outside of the top 30, he is the biggest mover of all, and he is now up a total of 23 places. Next closest will be 32nd to 22nd, gaining 10, Elliott Henderson. The disadvantage of qualifying proving evident today. Milwaukee is, in most cases, a single groove track. If you don't get that one groove down, you're all but done for. We've seen, yes, guys like Thomas Bressi make it work out, and you might notice he's your race leader. If you want to know why, look no further than pit road. Now the cycle has begun, and as we mentioned, 50 on, that's when we see drivers make their way in. Blake Cannon has gone through, and he's just gotten himself serviced. 4 tires and fuel for the number 27. He'll hit the gas and get things going again. Cannon gets out. Thomas Bressi, new race leader, 55 laps in. His pit window, it additionally could be rather long. 55 laps in out of 150, drivers going in after that third of the way marker, but they could go upwards of 60 laps, and we could see drivers maybe try for 70. The magic number of magic numbers, as we call it, is 75. The one tire, or rather one stop strategy, using only one tire set, I don't believe it is the way to go today. It doesn't look like it's going to happen, and in most instances at a track like Milwaukee or Phoenix or New Hampshire, where we usually see drivers go long, it is not the way to go. So, preferably for drivers such as Bressi, they'll see what happens next and head into pit road as soon as possible. The undercut going to be called by Blake Cannon. He'll be one of the very first to go for it now. Cannon finding himself on timing and scoring basis far behind in 39th, the final driver on the lead lap now. Cannon in number 27, making his way through to the ends. Outside is Ryan Vaughn. To the inside is Blake Cannon here. Watch out for Blake, as we still are yet to see the majority of the field head to pit road. Thomas Bressi this time by does not concede, and it looks like lap 60 coming up next for the majority of these leading guys. Michael Stroll shaking there, and you'll see that was contact from Jake Miller. Miller slows down significantly. Here comes Blake Gordon. Gordon is going to make the move. He'll get up to 11th. Michael Stroll is still the final man inside of that top 10. Michael was able to hang on, and although Miller in that case was more so the aggressor anyway on the bottom side, he ends up losing the spot. That's going to give Blake Gordon a better opportunity now to fight for the top 10. It gets him up to P11 currently, and if Blake Cannon were up in front, he would most likely be running, give or take, in the 12th place. So, making small gains, waiting for opportunity, and that's one that just came and went, and taking great advantage of it was the number 13. For the number 41 of Jake Miller, however, he'll fall a little bit further behind. Now Vinny Tigner is coming in with Jared Davis. Davis is up to 14th now, and he is still making positive gains. Not an easy night for Jared, of course. He did take a qualifying time. It just was not quick enough to run up to snuff with the front-running guys. He qualified with a 31.077, and of all drivers in the field, he was the first driver not to hit the sub-31 second marker, which was a disappointment, admittedly, for the 19 crew, but he's made up for it and then some so far with a valiant drive up the alley to 14th place, gaining 25 positions from beginning to lap number 60. And no, we're not at our midpoint yet, but it looks like right now, with Thomas Bressi leading the way, he is going to try to go a little bit further. Still, if he comes in anywhere before lap 70, there is no realistic chance for him to go through this race with one pit stop exclusively. Usually we see that multi-pit stop work out, and Chad Mikus recently went in. Brent McClendon is now signaling in the number 11. Brent, one of the drivers to look out for in the back half of the field, early struggles from 20th on the grid, just went through. He's the most recent driver to signal gum to pit road. Bressi, Tarbuck, Madalenis, DeWeese, Thunhorst, Wetmore still going to be up in front from 1st to 6th. No changes at the head of the field. It was previously Blake Cannon. It was before that Rob Ackley. Now Thomas Bressi getting his time in the sun. Blake Cannon making a very interesting call, and it appears more so that way with each passing lap. Was his decision to come in early, as we see Brian McFerrin now fighting just ahead? Was it the right thing to do? He went in significantly earlier than all of his contemporaries, and as a result right now is running on slightly older rubber. The end goal for Cannon is to pick off off one at a time and get some of that track position back by the time they meet again. But I don't know if that's the winning way right now for Blake Cannon. He went in so much earlier that if he ends up going toe-to-toe with a Bresci or a Tarbuck or a Hunter Matalenis, it won't work out well. If it's toe-to-toe anyway. Elliott Henderson this time by falls back to Sam Nieto. We're looking a little bit further behind to see who's up next down the order. Kyle Cooper making moves, and it looks like he's still on the circuit. But more drivers heading to pit road. Brian McFerrin right now getting right around the inside of pit road's exit. And it looks like currently very few drivers still making it through. Adam Wood, one of the most recent of which now you see him in 34th place. Ronnie Osmer, P35. Still Thomas Bresci up and ahead here. And it looks like he's got Nick Tarbuck still. Then you got Braxton DeWeese coming through. Michael Stroll inside the top 10. All the same. It looks like this top 10 has remained very consistent. It's time by. Any concessions? It looks like one. Not a leader, however. And even still, the remainder of the field stays up and in front. Hunter stays out in the way. Brent McClendon, one of the final drivers to signal. Daniel Foss currently, if we take a look down to 43rd, not on the circuit. Brent McClendon, Cal Filarski, both of which right now also on track. Filarski is 11 laps down. Daniel Foss is 41 laps down. Just a comparison between some of your guys who are lappers. Currently, 37 drivers are on the lead lap from beginning to end. Sebastian Miller now runs in 23rd. Taking a look on the left side of your screen, you'll be able to tell better who's making it in and when. Take a look at that last pit lap number. If a driver has 0 as their last pit lap, they have not gone on to pit road yet. Looks like Will Reichert now, the newest driver to make his way through. The number 67 will be coming across the corner exit, and Blake Cannon, the number 27, still the earliest of all. He went in 13 laps ago at lap 54. Ryan Vaughn, Cal Filarski, Daniel Foss, Justin Morton, some of those who have gone to pit road. However, for Morton, he has not gone in the past 40-plus laps. Still a majority of the strategy call, reliant on those who have stayed out. Jake Miller's in the heat of a battle now between Michael Stroll and Jack Drucker. Stroll down to the inside. Jack Drucker right up top. Jack, staying up high, has been ahead of Michael Stroll for the majority of the day so far. And the difference maker, I think, is just going to be whether or not the driver, the number 3, can take advantage here on the lower groove. Michael has been working off the outside of the top 10 for the majority of the day. Across the line now, it looks like Michael Stroll has got a perfect shot as he gets ahead of Jack Drucker. Drucker's going to try to look to the inside, but does not have the room nor the stuff. The number 56 heads down to the bottom side. The number 3 of Michael Stroll right there again. Outside for the 3. That's going to be a big disadvantage for Michael now. Side by side. Nearly contact, up the track, Michael Stroll will skate up. That'll make it 3 wide. Blake Gordon there with Jake Miller. Also going to see Vinny Tigner. And Drucker, with a little bit of force there, takes back his 9th place position. Michael Stroll is going to give up a spot now to Blake Gordon. That's going to put Gordon inside of the top 10 for the first time today. The number 13 looks to the outside now on Jack Drucker. Drucker still has the stuff to contend. It looks like advantage Jack overall. Thomas Bresci is eyeing that magic number, and it looks like although Blake Cannon kicked off the trend of drivers making their way through, currently the top 10 guys are holding it out. Advantage now Thomas Bresci, but you'll see Hunter is all over the back end now on that number 24. Watch out, Matalenis is getting close. And Hunter is there. Advantage is still Bresci, but it is slim. And it's almost none. Caution's out again for the 4th time today. Back of the field. Cause of incident. Let's find out. Yellow flag is out for the 4th time today at lap number 72. Coming toward your halfway marker, things slow down again. Now let's figure out exactly why that's the case. Taking a look from the overhead here, and it looks like no troubles recorded at the time of the wreck. Front straightaway problems, and you might have seen them. Guys were slowing down by the front straight. We're going to take our eyes and move them right toward the site of the incident. Michael Stroll, it looks like, getting damage, and he was potentially involved. Take a look at this. Eye in the sky will show you what happened. Michael Stroll, toe-to-toe now, and he was already racing aggressively with Drucker and Jake Miller, and it looks like this is the consequence of just that. Stroll was up on the high side, gets loose, comes down the track, spun by Vinny Tigner. Tigner with the finisher. Stroll goes around. He'll find himself now outside of the top 25 as he heads down to pit road, as does the majority of the leading brigade. There's Thomas Bresci. Let's see now who makes it out first. Clear-cut advantage, number 24. Bresci, Madalenas, Tarbuck, Wetmore, Thunhorst. First 5 off of pit road to complete the current top 10. Michael Araya 8th, Rob Ackley 9th, 10th, Braxton DeWeese. .74 laps in out of 150. And we're coming toward halftime. We'll restart and get the second half of this race underway. Your leading driver is a risk taker. Let's just say that. According to timing and scoring, it was Jared Davis that time by, but Blake Cannon now would have the edge. Again, Davis, you see his last pit lap is registered as a 0. Reason being, he does not have any new rubber on him from any point in this race. That comes down to a simple fact. He is going to try to go for the longest of long games and hope for another yellow flag. Shades of Ethan Lane in the NASCAR race here in Milwaukee, where he stretched it out for 60% distance and ended up winning on the final 40% by virtue of going long. Old tires don't often pull this off well. We're going to try to give the benefit of the doubt now to Jared Davis, who's coming from 39th up to 1st to get this restart rolling. Davis puts it in a gear. He'll have with him Blake Cannon. Green flags out for the 4th restart of the day. 75 laps to go as we cross halfway. And they're real tight now with Davis significantly slower, and he's choking up the inside lane. Now with that inside occupied by Jared Davis, Daco Parka goes around. That's a caution in the back of the field. Daco Parka involved again. This time it looks like spun around, and the yellow flag is out for the 5th time today. Here's a look. Taking a lap back in time, immediately getting your second half going as we did our first lap caution. Jared Davis gets lucky, as it looks like according to timing and scoring, he is somehow inside the top 5. But for Oparka, well, insult to injury on the day with his second incident. Loose, around, nobody else making contact there. So, Oparka gets away with only tires scuffing the issue. Hunter Madalenas, your race leader, by virtue of Jared Davis falling down. 73 laps to go, coming to 72. Jared Davis heads down to pit road, and it looks like while he gets lucky in not being involved in an incident that time by, now he'll get things moving. And you can see wiggling his wheel back and forth there. The front's going crazy, and he'll get himself a new set. Only 4 allotted to each driver. Josh Gallagher coming in, Matt Press, Michael Stroll, and a few extras on the way. Hunter Madalenas, your race leader. "72 laps remaining. This time by will restart with 70 laps remaining. Tom Wetmore, for the first time in the past 45 laps, directly ahead of teammate Blake Cannon. Of course, Wetmore allowing Cannon to get through for 5th place, and that gave him an opportunity to take the race lead. Wetmore has done a great job so far in managing the team, and that, of course, gave Cannon an opportunity. So now, the team runs 2nd and 3rd once again. Michael Araya P4, Thomas Bresci P5. Green flag out once more for the 6th restart of the day. Hunter Madalenas this time pushed hard by Blake Cannon. Cannon already looking for the race lead. This gives teammate Wetmore a chance on the outside. An early dive from the 27. Blake Cannon is back in perfect position. Now it looks like it's side by side again between the teammates. An early rush for the 27 of Cannon, and while it looked like great positioning, it will not be enough to take the race lead. This gives Madalenas an opportunity to break out from 13th up to 1st on the day, one of the biggest movers outright. Then you'll have the fight for 2nd, the fight to stay in the top 5, and even that for the top 10. Blake Gordon able to fend off Michael Stroll and the like early, and now it's 69 laps remaining. Watch this from Gordon. He's got a perfect shot now to make it into the single digits. It is a hornet's nest up in front, and it's only a matter of time until either, of course, this situation comes to a close with contact, or if it fades out naturally. These drivers have slightly different averages in terms of pace. Qualifying would show already that the best of the best are slightly different from those further back, but qualifying isn't everything. Hunter is running away, and he didn't qualify in the top 10 at all. Race pace is still differentiable between your first driver and your 10th driver, and the spread will become more evident in these final 60-some laps. The number 44 heads up high, that of course being Lariah, Nick Tarbuck to the inside here. These two were members of the Integrity Octane Series Big 3 in 2024, a group that won, I believe, 28 out of 30 races in total. You had Don Stevenson get 1 over them, you had Blake Cannon win 1. But 3 drivers won 28 races last year in the Octane Series. We've already seen more winners in the series this year than we have last. Will Reichert 1 lap down. He bobbled just a bit. You might have seen it down the back straightaway that time by the Granger Toyota Supra. Having a little bit of a wiggle, nothing all too serious. He is still in good spirits, it appears, still racing as hard as he can. One down in 36th. He's looking for the lucky dog placement. Ryan Vaughn currently holds that title. Ryan doing so within a second of that number 67. And it looks like, as it stands, that Chevrolet Camaro is going to fight with Brent McClendon. McClendon gets the advantage now in 34th. Keep an eye on the lucky dog fight. 34th place for McClendon. You'll have 35th for Ryan Vaughn. Will Riker 36th. All of which have a chance, but none of which can guarantee it just yet. Still a lot of time to tell what happens. Hunter Matalenis runs in the lead by a full second. Then from there, you'll have Blake Cannon, and he is still just behind. Caution's out again, and it's the tail end of the field. Troubles further back bring us to a standstill. It looks like Ryan Vaughn quickly heading down a pit road. Watch this. Slowdowns have largely been outside of the top 25 today. And if Ryan Vaughn going down a pit road is any indication, he either saw this one happen or he was involved in it. He just disconnected. I think that's an indication of the former. Vaughn going through 3 and 4, and loose to the inside. He will spin out of the groove and come to pit road, and he has retired. So, 63 laps to go for your 7th caution today. Chris DeWeese coming in, thank you for stopping by. Braxton DeWeese coming off what was a recovery race last week, able to barely scrape his way into the top 10 after fighting through the top 25 all day long. Now, the end goal is a top 5 at the minimum. 63 laps to go, coming to 62 laps remaining. A little bit of a slowdown once more as drivers head to pit road. Sam Nieto, one of which, we'll see him right now, coming from 22nd on lineup. He'll get himself additional service here. Watch out for these drivers who are deciding to break from the norm. Here's a notable one who just did, Blake Cannon. Cannon is going to hedge his bet on new rubber being the difference maker with 62 laps remaining. Cannon with a perfect opportunity right now to shock the field. It's going to be a tricky strategy call to pull off effectively. And of course right now, if you look at the live timing, Blake Cannon is running in 24th place. He's got a lot of placement to make up again. He was in a tricky position with that green flag cycle. And now, for the green flag picture to go back at it once more, he would need 62 good laps. Yellow flags, I think, would hinder him more than anything else, rather than bringing him up the ladder. The first cycle, anyway, Cannon went in early. The undercut, saved by the yellow flag, then got up to the lead, fight again. But now, 24th place. And he'll go back at it again with the entire field as we head green. 60 laps remaining this time by. Returning to green now, more than halfway through, it's about time we get back in the fight. Side by side, Matalenis with the advantage. Blake Cannon might be trying something different, but Roadhouse Racing, Tom Wetmore, the 69, is up top. Green flag's out once again. Tarba gets the dive down low. Wetmore gonna surge on the outside again, and he'll keep the fight real even through the opening corners. Talk about close jockeying for position. Not an easy start there for Tom Wetmore. He's going to hang on for a podium position currently, but Hunter Matalenis hangs on for the most important spot of all, the race lead. Watch Blake Cannon already up into the top 20. A very quick blitz to get up 4 positions, and he's using the apron, something we see usually at tracks like New Hampshire. And in desperate times, desperate measures are often called for. That's what we're seeing right now once again. The 27 of Cannon, as the sun fades from view, now makes a move. Take a look out for Blake Cannon, the number 27. Oh, Justin Morton in the wall, but contact further back. Jake Miller cautions out. Daco Parka collected as a victim. Miller involved. Call on the field. Despite being a multi-car incident, is no go. We are still under green. And a big incident at that. You saw Miller bounce off Oparka, but the call on the field is to stay green. The yellow flag will not be thrown. Back of the field, we are still going at it. Hunter Madalenas leading by a quarter of a second. Nick Tarbuck is right there with 57 laps to go. Take a ride board now for the number 29 for Domination Intimidation Racing. The team's got a shot. They're running now 2nd, 4th, and 6th. And a little bit further behind, you got Chad Mikus in 14th, picking up the pieces. Nick Tarbuck in the best spot he's been in all night long. Of course, this is exactly where he started, outside on the front row, and once again, he's got that second placement. But ever since Hunter took the race lead, he has been lights out. We saw it before early on from Rob Ackley. So far, the short runs have come to Hunter's fancy, and he has been the man at the top of it. Yellow flag is out once again. Adam Wood quickly disconnects, and I'm thinking he was involved in this one. Watch this. Wood to the inside in the 45. He backs it down low and slow. And it looks like, although slowed through the corner, he was not the cause of the immediate incident. Still trying to watch out now. Wood got back on the throttle, got up to 130, hit the wall, scraped it up top, and comes to a standstill. As the leaders went by, back of the field looked to be together as well. Adam Wood crawling to a halt, and the caution comes out. With the yellow out once again, it is the 8th incident of the day. We find ourselves pacing with 54 laps to go. Another chance for pit road, and perhaps one of the final of the day. Majority of the pack is going to come in here. You can see upwards of 20. Tom Wetmore going to miss his stall. However, Nick Tarbuck, among others, make it through quickly. Now to find out if this is the right move. Blake Cannon is going to make up spots big time according to timing and scoring. However, Madalenas, Tarbuck, Thunhorst, Lariah, Ward, Wetmore, Gordon, all coming out in succession here. And while they might not find themselves currently in the top 10, good chance now they can make their way up on a resurgence run. We'll reorganize the entire field. Pit road is largely empty. There's Daco Parka, Hunter Madalenas, one of the winning men off of pit road, and he's now getting up to the back of the field. Madalenas has scored 13th, which means that there are 12 holdouts, including your new race leader, Braxton Deweese. Blake Cannon, I think, is the big winner of this all. He just went down to pit road about 5 laps to go, and as a result, he's got new rubber and a buffer. One lap to green, this time by. Braxton Deweese holding P1. Gotta watch out now for Cannon. I think it's falling back into his position to win this one. And of course, that just comes down to how he reacts for the next coming laps. Ronnie Osmer to his outside. Chad Mikas, who is looking for a good run desperately, now up to 5th place from 17th in qualifying. Let's see what he can do. Pace car dives low. Braxton Luis gets away. He'll bring Cannon with them. Inside is now 1st and 2nd. Ackley, your pole sitter on the outside, runs 3rd. Quickly passed on the bottom. Rob Ackley now going to find himself back on the podium as well. You might remember Blake Cannon is the man who knocked him out of the lead, and that sent him tumbling down the top 10, only to settle for about 8th place. Kyle Cooper here going to be fighting toe-to-toe with the 29 of Nick Tarbuck. 3 wide, Madalenas, Wetmore, Cannon up top, but the caution's out. It's Ryan Potter. Another incident on what's been overall a tricky night. Here's a watch on Ryan Potter and your most recent wreck. Potter in the number 99 ends up making contact, and it looks like it goes through 3 and 4 as a tricky circumstance for both the 99 and anyone else involved. Hensley got loose, Potter got into the grass, came up the circuit, contact from Hensley, and a fierce knock into the outside wall. Ryan Potter, caution is out. Involved with Hensley that time through, now 33rd place with notable back-end damage, and most of it on the right side. Less than 50 laps remaining. Coming toward the end tonight, and a slow crawl now with additional contact in the back of the field. Braxton Luis, your race leader, Blake Cannon in 2nd, both drivers who I am well aware, based on what we've seen so far tonight, have proven to play the game the best of all, at least to this point. Still, we've just gotten past lap 100. We're officially at lap 103. There's a lot of racing yet to be run from this point to the end. And I think that's where you'll see drivers like DeWeese and Cannon put to the test. Will they hold or will they fold? Now, getting real close to figuring out what the answer to that long-awaited question is. Not an easy day for any of these drivers. How about DJ Stagner? His teammate just wrecked, but 42nd up to 5th. If anyone now is trying for that last to first challenge, it would be Stagner. Ryan Vaughn is officially the 43rd qualifier. He's only gotten up to P41, and he is off the circuit for the night. But back to Stagner. Second to last, up to 5th. DJ is again starting the season strong, but we don't quite know whether or not his intention is to go all the way for the full season run. As it stands, he once again is a winning contender, and he has proven strong time and time once more. Leader of the Swamp Motorsports Brigade, why not give him a chance to go out there again and get it done? 47 laps to go, and we're going to be going green this time by. It'll be 46 laps remaining from there. DeWeese down low, Cannon up top. Here we go again. Braxton and Blake both playing well now to have some defense behind them, but watch out for Hunter Madalenas running now in 11th, who has new tire. Green flags out. It's Cannon, and his teammate Wetmore looks low immediately. 4 wide with Morton, Madalenas, and even further up top, there's Steve Durham. This is what it's all about. The fight continues. Sam Nieto On the bottom, Chad Mikas up top. Chad desperately trying to hang on for a top 10 today, something he's looking for to turn his season around. From 47th in points up to the top 30, that's the goal. He's had to qualify in for the last 2 races, and he's been put to the test. He's shown speed in the last 2 events, but if he continues to fall out of a strong running position to start the day, it will harm him, significantly so. Sam Nieto looking low now on the number 25. And it is side by side once again. Now, Blake Cannon looking low on Braxton DeWeese. Braxton can't quite get there, at least to make it a stronger gap. But he's got the defense to at least hold back. Sam Nieto spins. Yellow flag. No dice. Now drivers slow down. The call on the field is again a caution. Nieto spun from inside the top 5. Contact. Once from Tarbuck, twice from Tarbuck. Spins. Caution is out. Sam Nieto involved in caution number 9. The most yellow flags on the season so far for one race. Looks like Milwaukee in its first ever appearance has proven more chaotic than anything else. With time of course, our green flag returns, and time still to spare. We're going to take a brief break live on FTN and present some messages from our partners and associates. Courtesy of Whiplash SimCams, you're watching FTN non-stop coverage where you won't miss a thing. On the right side of your screen will be the racing, and on the left, some messages from all of our associates and partners live on FTN. We'll return momentarily with Braxton DeWeese as your race leader. You're watching non-stop coverage of the Integrity Ignite Series at the Milwaukee Mile.
This message is brought to you by the rebrand of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This publication may not be reposted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. NASCAR Camping World Ford F-150. NASCAR Xfinity Ford Mustang. NASCAR Cup Series Next-Gen Ford Mustang. Arca Menards. This has been the publication of the redesign and rebranding of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This message may not be reposted, republicated, or rebroadcasted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. Thank you, and thanks for your time.
Getting ready to return green. 40 laps to go this time by Braxton DeWeese and Blake Cannon remain the front row. As the iRacing official pace car sets down at the bottom, Braxton DeWeese has been able to successfully fend off Cannon time and again. With these short stints, it's been to his advantage. Let's see if it happens once more. Immediately, Cannon jumps to the bottom. Osmer gives Ackley it up top. Green flags out. 40 laps to go from here. Blake Cannon to the inside, and he's sweeping down to the bottom to pit road. Blake Cannon gives up the race lead. Braxton DeWeese keeps it up in front. Cannon deciding to duck low, and whether or not that's a penalty, can't quite tell. Nothing awarded based on the admin's call, but Blake Cannon dives to pit road. Braxton DeWeese now has the race lead all by himself with 39 laps to go. Ronnie Osmer now in the fight as DJ Stagner takes second place for the first time today. Stagner's gotten himself up into the podium, something we haven't seen all throughout the day for a driver who qualified 42nd. And to think he's made it happen at all is unbelievable. Unfortunately, his teammate for the Swamp Motorsport crew not able to get it up front. He's going to find himself at the back of the field in Ryan Potter, but he's still going at it and still digging. Ryan Potter's now going to be 28th, trying to get up there on Brian McFerrin for what could be the 27th place. Hasn't quite happened yet, but if Stagner now has a fight in him, it could be the 1 and the number 64. Oh, look at this! Hunter Madalenas with new tire quickly to put an end to all the debates. Madalenas is second, and he's got better rubber than anyone around him. Now the advantage is with that 0-7. Nobody else has the pace. Nobody else has the stuff. This is Hunter's time. Nobody else, of course, surrounding him except for the one man who leads the way, Braxton DeWeese. Let's see now whether or not Braxton can defend and see if it lasts for more than a lap here. The 0-7 goes up high. Traditionally, of course, that outside groove is not fast enough to hang on for a pass, but there's newer tire on the 0-7 than there is the 1, and that will be the difference maker. Hunter to the race lead with 35 laps to go. Madalenas to the point. DeWeese back to second. DJ Stagner returns again to third place, and Matthew Thunhorst now is ahead of his teammate Bressie for the first time all night long. Thunhorst instead has a chance to carry the banner tonight for JTM. .34 laps to go. DJ Stagner facing heat as Braxton DeWeese heads to the outside. You're going to see a little bit more of that complication. Braxton DeWeese, Matthew Thunhorst toe-to-toe. DJ gets up to second once more, but I don't think it's going to be for gains. Caution is out. Tail end of the field. Our eyes fix on the back end as it looks like Blake Cannon will see some trouble. Watch this with Cannon. We're trying to see now what just happened for that number 27. Blake finds trouble. There's Josh Gallagher. Rewinding a lap here will show you where it all started. It was Casey Shue. Casey and the number 4 involved here. And the replay for your 10th caution of the night will give you a little bit of a better insight as to what the problem was. Contact from Sam Nieto sent the number 4 up the track. And as such, Casey falls out of the top 35. Going to be trailing Blake Cannon now. Cannon is running in 34th. And again, on a night where he needs a rebound, the only positive is that Thomas Bressie is caught 1 lap down in 36th. Cannon has a good shot at out-finishing him, even though he's not really in the best of positions right now. 32 to go. Madalenas is again your race leader. He was able to make that pass rather simply on Braxton DeWeese, and tires were the differentiating factor. Bressie goes up on the outside, getting himself a lap back. The battle now between Cannon and Bressie is on. Thomas that time by, of course, scored 36th. Now Blake Cannon with an opportunity as he heads down to pit road for what could be the final time, gets new rubber. This could be the differentiator. Bressie has a 41-point lead now in the standings after a dismal showing from Cannon last week. But with both drivers not living up to those traditional expectations, it'll be position to position, point to point for today to see who really comes out on top. Side by side, advantage Madalenas. Outside groove, DJ Stagner. Here we go again now, as the Milwaukee Mile has given us many a thrill and quite a few shockers in terms of those incidents. Hoping to keep it clean from here, I'm sure the entire field is, as we are going for restart number 10. Been an arduous night at the head of the field. Madalenas going at it once more with DJ Stagner. Let's bring it back up front. Focus again on the 07 and see what happens from here. Coming to 30 laps remaining. And it's time to get back to business. Green flags out. Madalenas and Stagner hold forward. We're back at it once again. Green flag for Madalenas and DJ Stagner. Matthew Thunhorse dives low for third. Big contact! Brian McFerrin, Ryan Potter, and many other drivers. It's another caution. Take a look at this. It's the big one in Milwaukee. Now, as you see the number 47 up high, you got Casey's shoe right there as well. I think it started further ahead, and yes, it did, with Ronnie Osmer getting into Brian McFerrin, as does Ryan Potter. Big contact. Then Don Stevenson piles in. Josh Gallagher collects a piece. 5 drivers, big time involved, and another hit further back. Jared Davis and Dackle Parka. Oh, Thomas Bressie! T-boned. Cal Filarski parks it, waiting. 7 drivers involved in that one. Nasty hits all around. While Hunter Madalenas leads, it's another roadblock in what's been a back and forth race between green flag laps and not so much of that on the other side. Cautions, frequent and persistent. But the battle for the race lead, when we've seen it, it's been pretty good. Madalenas knows this, but I don't think he wants much of a battle any longer. His focus is on getting it to the end in one piece. As your leader, no less. Got by Deweese, and now he's got the edge. Madalenas and Matthew Thunhorst, first and second. Thomas Bressie spent the first half of the race up in front, fighting in the podium and fighting for the race lead, but it looks like instead it'll be teammate Thunhorst who's got the best of shots. Thomas Bressie is going to be again 35th and 1 lap down by virtue of that most recent incident, and those persistent troubles not helping anyone in the field. We'd like to thank both of our premier partners in SimMotion and Next Level Racing for bringing coverage to you. At nextlevelracing.com, visit their website, sign up, shop for their products for high-quality sim racing equipment meant for dedicated sim racers. There's no better place to go than nextlevelracing.com. 5% off at checkout using promo code Integrity24. And for our newest partner, sim racing vendor SimMotion, visit their website and use promo code Integrity for 5% off checkout as well. Can't miss offers in the sim racing world thanks to both SimMotion and Next Level Racing. Now we'll head back at it this time by with 26 laps to go. Madalenas and Thunhorst to the points. Thomas Bressie surges to get a lap back, and we are back at it again. Green flags out with Madalenas holding control. Braxton Deweese will follow him on the bottom groove. Matthew Thunhorst goes high. 3 wide. Tom Wetmore surges low again. Tom Wetmore is not here to play catch-up today in the slightest. The 69. If his teammate can't get up there, he'll do the job for him. A great performance so far for the Roadhouse Racing number 69, missing a race and trying to stay in the fight in the top 10 in points. So far for Wetmore, while it hasn't been an easy day, qualified 5th, he is 3rd now, proving that qualifying speed was not a fluke at all. 25 to go this time by. Matt Alenis finds himself still leading. Matthew Thunhorse is there in 2nd. Coming across through, we're going to be largely single file from 1st on down. DJ Stagner briefly disconnects. That will send him off of the lead lap, but it looks like he's still racing as he just reconnected. 3 wide, Rob Ackley, Justin Morton, Gael Brooks. And even though it's usually a one-groove circuit, we've seen an awful lot of drivers going to the inside, going to the outside, and taking the middle as well. 3 wide, we've seen, of course, drivers no stranger to it. Shocking, honestly, that it's worked out so well in most cases, and that the back half of the field has been responsible, although we haven't seen many 3 wide instances. Contact, there's the mid-pack going around. Elliott Henderson and Vinny Tigner. With 24 to go, another stack up. Caution is out. Take a look at this. 11th of the day, and this one was really unavoidable, so that, of course, prompts the yellow flag. Elliott Henderson down on the bottom. Vinny Tigner on the middle. They met each other, and too little room for too many drivers. That also shoots Blake Cannon into pit road, where he drifts, hits the wall. Then Chad Mikas, Casey Shue, Gael Brooks, Justin Morton, Tyler Hensley, Steve Durham, and Will Reichard will avoid it. Either way, another big collection of drivers. DJ Stagner just got back on the track. He ends up in the crossfire. 22 to go. Vinny Tigner will retire. Looking at Hunter Madalenas here. Got the race lead. A few others head down to pit road, notably Justin Morton. We will have less than 22 laps to go when we go green. It'll be most likely less than 20 as we head back at it. And as always, with 22 laps to go, we like to present our Crank It Up segment of the day, brought to you by Whiplash SimCams. We'll do so when we return this coming time by. Whiplash SimCams is iRacing's newest and most up-to-date camera solution for broadcasters of any skill level. New broadcasters can check out their sample camera packs in their Discord server for absolutely free. And remember, no licensing fee attached. Visit Whiplash SimCams on Discord and consult, of course, owner of Pitstop TV, Andrew C., for prices. Cars and tracks come by $5 a piece for a lifetime guarantee. No subscription needed from that point onward. Thank you, of course, for watching FTN Broadcasting and our coverage of the Integrity Ignite series, brought to you by Whiplash SimCams. We will crank it up when we go green with only 19 laps remaining. Matt Alenis is looking like a surefire winner now with these short stints coming his way. Matthew Thunhorst has kept him honest on the outside, and I would say that Tom Wetmore's got the aggression to keep in it as well. We'll see what happens next. Matt Alenis, Thunhorst, and then Tom Wetmore. 1, 2, 3. All together again as we are set to go back at it. With 19 laps to go from the Milwaukee Mile, let's get back to business and crank it up with our friends at Whiplash SimCams. Matt Alenis is looking for his second career victory. Thunhorst is looking for his first of the season. The green flag flies once again as we crank it up from the Milwaukee Mile. 15 laps remaining. Hunter Madalenis leads, but it's not at all a far gap for the race lead. Matthew Thunor is keeping him honest, and furthermore, Tom Wetmore is right there as well in the number 69. Final laps are approaching now for the Milwaukee Mile, and it looks like the front runners, the best of the best, have really settled in. Shout out to Gavin Fitzgerald, Nicholas Ward, and Sean Carmody, who have been embattled all night long and now are up into the piece, 8th, 9th, and 10th respectively. And Matt Press, 21st to 7th. He's looking to keep the good times rolling in an unexpectedly strong opening to his rookie campaign. Gavin Fitzgerald came in midway into the season, from this point onward anyway. He came in race 5, and he's looking again for a top 10 finish. Nicholas Ward, after a podium last week, why not take a solid top 10? That's the end goal right now, and for the Swamp Motorsport crew, while Stagner faced internet troubles, Potter's been involved in incidents, Sebastian Miller quietly is in the top 10 fights. Not someone I'd have expected to see, but as the night has gone on, he has slowly but surely made his way through. Now you'll see Jack Drucker in the number 56 go swerving high, blocking another rookie in the form of the 14. 13 laps to go, coming to 12 this time around. Madalenis leads, one up in the wall. That is Steve Durham. He is a lapper, and he's got big trouble. Now I'm wondering why he got caught up so far high. Take a look back, and you'll see he's got significant suspension damage. I'm surprised he's on the track. This is a one-lap replay, mind you. He's got that thing bent out of shape, and then some. How's he even driving it? Take a look inside. I mean, he's turning the wheels some 90 degrees just to keep it going, and then in the corners, forget about it. Durham is muscling to keep any points he can, gain any spot possible, and try to fight for a top 30, but I don't know if he's in a car good enough to keep on the track for justifiable cause. I mean, he's so far off the race pace, a 36.845 that time by. Leader's pace was a 31.363. In terms of speed, he is a hazard right now just by virtue of all that damage, but luckily he's kept it out of the way. 10 laps to go. Hunter Madalenis is looking to finish the job now. Matthew Thunhorse lies in second. Tom Wetmore is still third. Nick Tarbuk is now looking to put down the pressure for P4 as we enter the final single digits. Laps are counting down, minutes are as well, and this is when those big moment moves had to be made. Jack Drucker to the inside on Michael Araya. He'll sweep down to the bottom. This is for 5th place now as Drucker gets up to Blake Gordon. Gordon has to go high, give some room, and it's clear the number 56 has intentions of going the distance. Drucker for P5. This is going to give an opportunity now for the number 44 of Michael Araya to swerve to the bottom on Blake Gordon here. Gordon, the number 13, is up top, sent to the middle groove. This will give Lariah 6th place and maybe bring with them Matt Press for 7th. Sean Carmody is on looking as well. He is trying to make his way up to the 8th position. '83 Sebastian Miller runs 11th, and if anyone makes a mistake or falters in this grouping, that could give, again, the '83 a shot. Seb Miller right now is closing in. 7 to go. We've got a caution. It's going to be a short sprint to the checkered flag. Smoke billows behind. Who was it? That's the question. One to pit road, that's Jared Davis. Take a look right now, we're going to find out what happened. Davis was sputtering and slowing down to begin with, but I don't believe he's the cause of the incident as he laid down low. Now this occurred at the front straightaway, the yellow flag. So as this upper mid-pack came closer, Elliott Henderson and company Side by side, Steve Durham right there. And Durham again was so slow. It was a shocker drivers got by, but anyhow, yellow flag is out, and we're checking on what happened. It looks like perhaps Blake Cannon getting through, but we saw one running out of fuel in Jared Davis. And the caution comes out. 6 to go. We might just have ourselves a 3-lap sprint to finish the day. Five laps remaining. We're getting real close now to our overtime procedure. Thanks to the fact that we got a caution in before lap 146, we have a perfect chance for a natural 3-lap run. Any caution after lap 146 or the 5 to go marker automatically will bring the field to an overtime. But we have just enough on the table now to naturally finish the job and get things done for the checkered flag. Here we go again. It'll be a 3-lap shootout. Hunter Madalenas on the inside, Matthew Thunhorst on the outside. This does not count as an overtime attempt. However, if there is another caution, that will send us into our first of 3 overtime opportunities. Not a guarantee just yet that it happens, but there is a very real chance of it occurring. Aggression has been the name of the game so far today. With Madalenas on top, though, he's played it as smooth as it gets, and he wants to get through in one piece. Matthew Thunhorst and JTM are looking for a shocker of a victory. Thomas Bresci held the fort for so long that Thunhorst coming through late was the biggest surprise of all. He's side by side with one final opportunity, 3 more miles, 3 more laps. To the inside goes the iRacing pace car, Madalenas with a jump of a car length plus, green flags out, 3 laps to settle it. If not, we go to overtime. Hunter looking for his second career victory to join the many a driver who have multiple victories in the Integrity Ignite Series. He won it first just 2 weeks ago, and the signal on the field is that we are green with 2 laps remaining. Next flag could be the white, and if it is, the race is official. Tom Wetmore to the inside on Matthew Thunhorst for second place. If Jack Drucker gets there, Thunhorst could be in severe jeopardy of losing a podium placement. Caution's out. We're going to overtime. So it'll be our first overtime attempt of the day. Watch back and see what happened. Chad Mikas has big damage. And another night for Mikas with problems. Ryan Potter, Blake Cannon, Will Riker, Josh Gallagher, DJ Stagner, and Ryan Potter also sliding. But Mikas catches horrible damage again. And that front end is totaled. So we're heading to overtime. We have 3 attempts available. This is our first. Let's explain briefly what happens from here. 3 attempts. This first one will give us 2 laps. The other 2 will as well. If we have a caution, we go to overtime attempt number 2. If we have a subsequent caution, we go to our third and final. As a result, we will have ourselves those 2 laps, and if we make it to the white flag, the race is official. That's the difference maker. White flag, race ends. Yellow flag, we extend for overtime attempt number 2 and potentially go for our third and last. Madalenas, Wetmore, Thunhorst, 1, 2, 3. Laying it all on the line and hoping for an opportunity to get things settled straight. Yellow flag has been elusive so far today. Mikas will disconnect and retire. And another night, he will fall further down in the point standings with some unfortunate results, to say the least. One lap to green. We're extending this race to lap 154. That is now the new finishing lap. If we make it to the white flag this coming time by, it means that we can race this one out to the checkered flag, checkers or wreckers. Tom Wetmore, opportunistic as ever, got by Matthew Thunhorst for second previously, but running on the outside has proven worse for the second place man than it has been for third place on the inside. Side by side, 3 laps to go. And with this first overtime attempt, Madalenas has now had to hold on for the past 5 consecutive restarts over 40-some laps. Milwaukee has been quite the exception for the norm of our racing standards here in the Integrity Ignite series, and it's given Madalenas many chances to stop and reflect. Ironic, given that he last won at the Roval, where we went non-stop under green. He's looking to prove he can do it both ways as the pace car ducks low once again for what could be the final time if only we stay green. Wetmore with a jump up high. Madalenas matches him and bests him on the bottom. 2 laps to go. Hunter gets the lead. Tom Wetmore with the best shot he's had all night long now, right behind Madalenas. Cautions out, we're going to double overtime. Back of the field involving Don Stevenson. At lap 147 for Stevenson, it looks like he slows down thoroughly here. The caution flies. And he's just ahead of him. Tyler Hensley, one of those involved. One more replay, and it'll show you the hornet's nest. Brent McClendon shot into Ronnie Osmer. Casey Shue, contact from Hensley. Gael Brooks shot up the track. Then Osmer into McClendon, into Ryan Potter. 1, 2, 3, and 4, up the circuit. Ryan Potter spun around. Stevenson with that damage. Potter's race is effectively done. So the caution flies once again. We got a brief moment until we go green for our second overtime attempt. We'll return, but after a brief message from our friends at iRacing.com. Thank you to iRacing for making tonight's event possible. Now for more than 16 years of sim racing action on the service, iRacing has led in innovation and accuracy for virtual motorsport. We'll return right after this for overtime attempt number 2, brought to you on iRacing.com.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Overtime attempt number 2 as we try to settle it once again. It's about time now for Hunter Madalenas and Tom Wetmore on the high side as they'll battle each other for a chance at victory. We'll see whether or not, of course, we end up green at the end of it. Green flag will come out. The new finishing time by lap anyway, is 158. We get there, we're good to go. Let's see what happens now as we are set to go green for double overtime here in Milwaukee. Matt Allennis with the lead, Wetmore up top looking to steal it. Here we go. Green flags out side by side, more than 10 rows deep. Immediately Nick Tarbuck dives for 3. Jack Drucker takes second on the slide job play. Wetmore gets down to the bottom. All distractions for the rest of the field. This gives Matt Allennis a clear-cut advantage coming to the whites. Up the circuit now, Jack Drucker, 1 lap to go, this time by, and this time anyway, will make it to the white unscathed. 1 lap to go, battle for second rages on. Tom Wetmore up high on Jack Drucker here. If he makes it well through 1 and 2, he should have the clear-cut edge for the spot. But Hunter Matt Allennis, who has dominated the second half of this race, overcoming 2 consecutive overtime attempts, is out in his own world and is set now to take his second victory in his Ignite Series career. Coming across the line, checkered flag for Hunter Matt Allennis. He'll take victory from the Milwaukee Mile. Chaos behind, but celebrations all around for the 07, winning once again, the second time in his career. Dominant from the second half of this race to the very end. Matt Allennis works things out to a T to finish off the night. And now, to celebrate an amazing performance. Got the JTM guys coming together, and Hunter Matt Allennis coming right past him as he's looking to burn it down. At the start-finish line, where it begins and ends tonight for Hunter Matt Allennis. He didn't qualify inside of your top 10 to start this race, but interestingly, drivers who finish 13th, 12th, and 11th in qualifying finished this race first, second, and third, respectively. Matt Allennis leads the final 65 in succession to win today over Jack Drucker and then Matthew Thunhorst. Then from there, you'll have Tom Wetmore just outside of the podium in 4th, Nick Tarbuck in 5th, Michael Araya 6th, Blake Gordon 7th, Gavin Fitzgerald in P8, 9th for Braxton DeWeese, and 10th for Matt Press. A little bit further behind, you'll have the 11th place man, that of course being Nicholas Ward, 12th for Kyle Cooper, 13th for Sebastian Miller, Sean Carmody goes 14th, Brandon Bernhard 15th then on the day. Sam Nieto is 16th with Gael Brooks 17th, and Casey Shue goes 18th place. 19th will then and there be Ronnie Osmer. Rob Ackley rounds out the top 20. Top 30 goes as follows with Elliot Henderson, DJ Stagner, Brent McClendon, Will Reichert, Daco Parka, Josh Gallagher, Tyler Hensley, Thomas Bresci, and Brian McFerrin, Steve Durham rounding out in 30th. Then you'll have 31st and Chad Mikas, then Don Stevenson, Blake Cannon, Ryan Potter, Justin Morton, Jake Miller, Vinny Tigner, Jared Davis, Cal Filarski, and Adam Wood for P40. Lastly on the day, Ryan Vaughn, Michael Stroll, and Daniel Foss finishing out your lineup for tonight. The Milwaukee Mile proved to be hectic all night long. One man survives the test and ends up leading the second half of this race almost to a T. That's the man we'll be speaking to right about now, Hunter Madalenas, and he's right up next in the FTN broadcast booth. Second career win in the Ignite series now, Hunter. Quite the opposite from the way you won your first, which was a non-stop race at the Roval. It was stop and start all night long with 2 overtime finishes in the Milwaukee Mile. Same result, you're back in victory lane.
Yeah, it was a very challenging race. I was going into this race just hoping for a top, 15, top 10. I wasn't expecting to have the car I did. It was just kind of a matter of tire strategy. Guys, like Blake Cannon and I think Jared Davis were on a 2-stop strategy, and I think me and most of the rest of the field were on a one-stop strategy. So kind of when that caution came out, it fell our way, and the whole rest of the race was just keeping track position.
And track position, of course, proved most important in the very end, but I want to reflect first and foremost on the start. As you mentioned, one-stop strategy seemed to be the move. Was there anything in particular that led to that decision in the opening half?
I think it was just the fact that on pace with, qualifying 13th, and the fact that when we got late into that run around lap 50 where you would make the call for the 2-stop strategy, I felt like I had the fastest car. I just needed to, make up track position. So I felt like if we went long, I could make up pace by going as long as I could. And I think that's just in the end, what came down to my strategy was just, I felt like I had a really fast car on the long run.
And though you mentioned that confidence in the long run, it really didn't come to pass tonight, especially in those final 65 laps when you found yourself up and in front. 2 overtimes and a lot of breaks in between, so how was it for you to manage the short run in all that we saw it?
Yeah, short run's all about just, you got to drive into every corner. You got to get the power down as best as you can. And I had some buddies in my voice chat, telling me, how close fresh tires were, how close old tires were. It's kind of just a balance, and short run is when it comes down to caution runs like that, track position is just the biggest thing you can have, because once it kind of gets spread out, it's nearly impossible to pass. So having track position is probably the best thing to have for any defense.
And it looks like tonight, working it out, holding on to that track position, and keeping the race lead. Up next on the calendar, we're moving out from Milwaukee and heading to another mile-long circuit in Rockingham. How do you feel about heading toward the Rock up next?
I felt the same way to Rock as I did here at Milwaukee. So, I was expecting a top 15, came away with the win. So, I mean, if we can go back-to-back and, lock down in Rockingham, I'll be pretty happy about that.
Could be a sign of things to come. Already a 2-time winner in a rookie campaign filled with strength so far. Hunter Madalenas, second place on the day, of course, right behind you. You take the win from Milwaukee. Any final comments you'd like to give us?
Just thanks to you guys. I love watching the broadcasts after I'm done racing. Thanks to everyone watching. Thanks to these guys in the league. Again, they've just been very inviting, and I feel like I can race around these guys, and no matter what we give on the racetrack, you can race clean up front. So yeah, just thanks to everybody in this league and for everybody that makes it work.
Hunter Madalenas getting the job done for the Milwaukee Mile. Thank you again for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much.
With Hunter on the move tonight, Jack Drucker, the rookie who won at Daytona, makes his triumphant return to the podium. Took a long time from race to race. He was getting close, top 10 runs and all, but the efforts proved necessary. And they proved successful. As Jack returns to the second place, of course, he's got himself a good race in the back pocket, and we'll speak to him right now. Drucker joining us in the broadcast booth, coming away with a second place finish and fighting hard on that overtime finish to make it so. Welcome back to the top 3, Jack. Long-awaited return.
That was a long way to return there, David. It's been a rough couple weeks there between the caution in Kentucky getting off strategy and the Roval being, well, the Roval if you weren't the guys running in the top five. So just feels too good to finish one of these things, and P2 is absolutely the morale that I needed for the last couple weeks.
And a great recovery race. Something we noticed, all three drivers on the podium, you guys started 13th, 12th, and 11th, finished 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So you found yourself in close company with these guys all night long, starting from the beginning, but in the middle of the pack. Was there anything in particular you found to help you gain those 10, 11 spots to get you up to where you were at the end?
I'd love to say it was as simple as just getting 10 or 11 spots and keeping them, but that was, we had the deal on the pit cycle with me and Blake, and I called it a lap before, but the message didn't get across, and that kind of triggered the whole caution, the first caution of the race, and then got back to around P30 or so, kind of rode around 20th, and then kind of just got to the point of saving a set of tires, because I didn't think it was going to get to that point where we were having cautions that frequently, but I definitely wanted to have one land, and that set of tires at the end of the race is definitely what let me kind of get by guys. I thought I had a chance there on the 07, but Hunter did a really good job. Everybody in the top four did a really good job. So it was a fun race up there for sure.
And you mentioned, of course, keeping track position, getting up there, and fighting from even outside the top 30. Now, a lot of cautions in between, which saved you up there when it came to track position. You fought hard against Wetmore and Thunhorse. Were you concerned at all about maybe the aggression becoming a little bit too much from everyone?
Me and Wetmore were joking around there when he gave me a little shot off too, because he was trying to get the crossover and missed it up a little bit. We had a good laugh about that. I think it was some aggressive three wide sends today, but I mean that was kind of the nature of the racetrack, because once you got out of that grip strip on the bottom, there's really nowhere to go. So a lot of it was, if you felt like somebody was really going to drive it in there, you kind of have to concede the spot just to keep the fenders on it. But you get to the end of the race, and those guys up there at the end, they're pretty smart, pretty fair. So I wasn't worried on the overtime, but coming up through the field on some of them, you're a little nervous.
Nevertheless, a great race to rebound, get yourself up in the front-running spots before we head now to Rockingham, Jack. And, of course, before we head down to North Carolina once more, if you have any final comments you'd like to leave us with, the floor is yours.
Just happy to finish one of these races. I think everybody had a fun time out there. I know Matt Press, who was saying this is one of the most fun races he's had of the year so far. So glad everybody had a good time, and hope to be talking to you again next week.
Jack Trucker, P2 on the day here, and just a second off of Victory Lane. Thank you again for stopping by.
Thanks, David.
And for JTM Motorsport, they expected a podium today, coming in with qualifying efforts strong. It looks like tonight, at the end of it all, Matthew Thunhorse makes it work. As a result, the number 8 finishes out the podium tonight, close to victory and maybe closer than you'd expect to start, clawing up into the top 3 in the second half and never looking back.
Yeah, David, you say that, but I about threw it away and basically put the whole field in the junkyard there on a couple of restarts there at the end. I needed it to stay green right as I got the Hunter, and I felt like maybe I had a shot at him. And then once we got cautions, it's hard to restart in second pretty constantly. And then Tom was getting pretty savage when Hunter was going, and it's just so hard to basically try to look out your window net and just, understand when those engines roar, because it's not like real life where they're right next to you. So it's a little bit tough, but it's considering we qualified pretty poorly for my standards, we got up there and then, despite all the carnage, either stayed around it or was able to survive trying to get back up to the front. I'll take it. So, just the fact I was able to kind of keep it on the podium almost after shifting it into first instead of third with my new H pattern, on that final restart, just I'm glad I didn't kill the field, and kind of shocked I was able to get back to third there, but kind of bites a little bit because I'm good at these flat tracks, had a shot at it, but just didn't get it done.
One of the big difference makers, you mentioned it of course was the yellow flags. Time and time again, saw those short runs coming in consistently. So with that in mind, how was it for you optimizing the short run? As you mentioned, restart's such a big deal.
Honestly, every restart was just hanging on for dear life, just because I knew you want the comfort of a little bit more brake bias in the front of the car, but you needed it to turn to get it to do anything with how hard it was on the old tires to get it to work. And it was just do what you can, don't be silly with it, and be like those Xfinity guys in real life where it's junk the car instead of bringing home a good finish. So there are times it's let off here, try to make it to where you can set up a pass later, and it kind of worked out there where I was able to grab Tom when Jack ended up setting him up there at that final lap. So it's just hard. I felt really good with the long run, and right as that one caution came out where I was right on Hunter, it's all of a sudden his car started going, and I was like, oh, I got it, and then it's yellow flag, and it's like, rats. So, it is what it is, but, I'll definitely take, we've been getting the season together, getting a lot of top 10s, we're getting a couple top 5s with it, we're getting up in points, so we'll take what we can get. We want to get that win, but, it's a lot of fast cats in the league, so, can't get the wins, you definitely want the podiums in the top 5s.
And now, up there in the top 5 of the championship race and looking to keep ascending, of course, having a better race tonight than notably Cannon, Bressie, and Jared Davis. That's going to help you out in the points picture before we head down to Rockingham. How are you feeling about keeping these consistent races up for you?
I remember running at Rockingham last year, didn't do the best, so, we'll make sure to take the lessons learned from last year and just keep trying to not overdrive the car, keep trying to keep tires on it. We're getting better at it. I feel like I've improved to where I was last year, and, just taking one race at a time. I mean, Bressie had a bad thunderstorm and took power out for him, and it's things like that. Or, Cannon just got off strategy with the one caution there that kind of threw everything in a disarray. And I was kind of shocked where Jared's at because of how much speed he shows at points. But, just here's what it is, and you only can take it one race at a time. And, for now, it's just try to keep it up there so that if we can't get a win, we can at least try to lock in on points on this championship playoffs.
Honing in on that points battle with another strong run. Matthew, third on the day. Before we head down to Rockingham, if you have any final comments, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, David, just, thanks to everybody in the Integrity Ignite series, for putting this on and just, having big, strong fields like we do every Monday night. This was a little messier than probably a lot of people would have wanted, but, a lot of good hard racing throughout, a lot of respectful racing up front around me. So, and just thanks to all the admins for putting in the work, and just yourself and everybody else, Fireball Talks NASCAR for broadcasting, all our great sponsors, SimMotion, Next Level Racing. So, and then just thanks to all the fans, like I said, it might have been a little rough with all the caution breaks, plenty of time to go get more popcorn and drink in this one. But, just thanks for tuning in, and hopefully we'll put on a little bit better of a green show and more good racing next Monday at Rockingham. So we'll see you all there, and thanks everyone for tuning in and just the support and everything.
Matthew Thunhorse, third place on the day here for the Milwaukee Mile, and thank you once again for stopping by.
Yeah, thank you, David.
We've gotten a word now from all of our top 3 drivers who make it through. Of course, third place on the day being Matthew Thunhorse, second place being Jack Drucker, and Hunter Madalenas comes away for his second victory of the season. It was a little bit of a hectic race, shall we say, compared to what we usually see with more than 12 cautions. We're hoping to see better green flag racing next week at The Rock. Speaking of Rockingham, we're heading there tomorrow, 9 o'clock on Tuesday night, live at FTN Broadcasting. The Integrity Octane Series returns, and they'll go racing in Rockingham County for 150 laps in The Rock 150. Until then, of course, we thank you for tuning in to tonight's coverage from the virtual Milwaukee Mile for Race 7 of the 2025 Integrity Ignite Series season. I've been your host, David Kreutz, commentating and producing. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. The support is always greatly appreciated. Thank you all for tuning in. Congratulations to Hunter Madalenas for getting the job done in Milwaukee. We hope you have a fantastic night.